of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Our friends from GCES, Clinton and Galen, we're talking about retirement savings, and how best to go about that. Well, here to tell us that, it appears that not a lot of people are really getting it done is Kristina Schuler. Kristina is a financial analyst and a strategist, and she's with the Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor with Intentional Ownership. Yeah, Kristina, I think we did talk to you recently because I remember intentional ownership, and we were talking to you about saving for retirement and for your life. We want to do a little bit more on that today because this report comes out saying that there are a lot of people who don't think they're going to live as long as they're going to live. So what's ending up is they're outliving their retirement savings, which is very distressful. Our conversation, by the way, brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Kristina, that's a scary thing. People who save all their lives for retirement and then find out, well, I don't have enough. I've gotten to the end of my savings and I've still got some living to do.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that comes from they're just, not expecting to live as long. Usually it's a family member or, their parents have passed at an earlier age, and that's kind of what they're counting on. But we're actually living longer. And as more time goes on, we're seeing that age extend beyond mid-80s, even into 90s.
So what are some of the, not ramifications, but what are some of the realization points once they retire and they find out that I spent this much in this particular year and I feel fine, so I'm not figuring that I'm going to fall ill anytime soon. But all of a sudden I'm beginning to realize, oh my goodness, the money isn't going to last if I keep spending at this rate.
Yeah, the hard part with that is as we're planning with clients and looking at their financials, it's really seeing it, put onto paper and saying, hey, I don't have as much as I originally thought, and what can I do? And I would say if you're at retirement age, it's really just analyzing kind of your budget and your spending habits and such. And if possible, even just take a little part-time job. If you haven't collected Social Security, maybe extend that. There's certainly things you can do in retirement, but there's also things you can do before retiring.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that say, I have this certain standard of living that I've created for myself over the years of my working career, and maybe I'll have to curtail some of those things that I really like to do.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's a scary thing. So what are some of the things that we can do? You mentioned that maybe getting a part-time job, and maybe it doesn't have to be with what you've done all your life, maybe something new and a little bit more interesting for you.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, look, you can be the greeter at Walmart or something. There's certainly things that you can do. If, you're a handyman, maybe consider a job at a hardware store or something like that. But I would say if you are not in retirement just yet, I would consider how much money you're going to need in retirement. How much income are you expecting? What are the costs for potential medical, depending on your circumstances? Do that budget, pay off some high interest debt if you have anything. Maybe downsize even, consider living a little bit more frugally, and then save while you still can. I would say overtime if possible, second job, things like that. And then like I mentioned before, just delaying Social Security and then also even delaying retirement age.
Yeah, but I can sit down at the kitchen table right now, though, can't I? And I can figure out, well, what do I spend in the average month? And that can not only help me with my future planning, but it can help me right now.
Absolutely. And look, now is a great time considering we're still dealing with things like inflation and such over the past few years. Cost of living is going up. Cost of medical is going up. So I would say look at your budget, assess things, see where you can cut down some maybe frivolous spending or just shop around for better rates on things such as cable and stuff like that, and see where you can maximize your savings now.
Kristina, has the current economic environment in the nation impacted people's retirement savings?
Absolutely. I would say current and even just years ago. So the 2008 stock market actually scared a lot of this generation out of the market. And so them selling off and going to things that are paying, low rates, low returns, more secure type investments have actually hindered their potential performance in the market. And then just recently with another, thing during COVID that has actually affected them and and how their outlook is on, investing in general.
Yeah, it creates a pessimistic person, a skeptic even, when it comes to savings. And I don't know that everybody puts their money into a mason jar and buries it in the backyard anymore, but it does. It sort of puts a little bit of a cautionary note on what you're doing.
Absolutely. But what I would say is the best thing to do is seek the advice of a financial professional. Let them evaluate your personal circumstances. They can actually tell you based on what you have saved or what you intend to save, how long that money can last you, and then some creative ways to invest that make sense for you and that actually, you can get behind and not have fear.
One of the things that we wonder about is what are we going to be able to leave to our children or whoever it is who's going to inherit our property and our financial package as well. What are some of the things that we should be taking into consideration now when we're saying, I want to be able to leave you something and not have you pay a ton of money in order to actually inherit this?
Yeah, so I would say first, there needs to be a little bit of selfishness there, believe it or not. So with this generation, my parents included and other family members, they need to consider themselves first and foremost, because essentially what's going to happen if they're not setting aside enough to retire and to have, what if they have assisted living or other needs like that? You essentially can become a burden on your children if you're looking to save them something if you can't even take care of yourself. So I would say put yourself first in this case, and then if there's something left, so be it. But don't put that ahead of yourself at this point.
There are a lot of people who, just as you just said, are afraid that everything they've worked for their whole life has just been saving up for paying for whatever home I'm going to end up in, and that scares them too.
Absolutely, and I think that is a reality, something to consider when we're looking at cost of living and medical costs and things like that. I don't see those going down. So again, while you can save and while you can set aside money or maybe cut corners with expenses, I would certainly do so, just to take into consideration that is generally a possibility.
This lifespan type of thing, has that always been a concern for people in your line of work?
I would say it's becoming more prevalent now that we're in the baby boomers that are actually the ones that I feel like are more affected. There's always been that life expectancy table, with Social Security and such, but I feel like now that we have more technology medically and things, we're just seeing that span just expand actually to where people are just living a lot longer, and we're having to plan for that and kind of bridge that gap for them.
Yeah, and we want to live a life that is a quality life too, and in order to do that, maybe we don't have the second place down in the nice warm. You're in Louisiana, and it's much warmer there than it is here today. And when wintertime comes, it's still going to be warmer in Louisiana than it is in Pennsylvania. And so that second place down south for a lot of us probably isn't going to be as possible as maybe it would have been 20 or 30 years ago.
Absolutely. And again, that's kind of taken into consideration, your needs in retirement. Are you looking to retire more frugally and consider things like higher medical costs or living facilities, or are you trying to just live it up in retirement? So I think those things need to be considered ahead of kind of pulling that plug and saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and retire.
Kristina Schuler is our guest this morning. She is a financial strategist. So, Kristina, if I'm a younger person and I'm only in my late 20s, early 30s, just starting my family, am I thinking about retirement savings right now? Or should I be?
Absolutely. The moment you start working, I would say even if you're 16, you need to start putting aside money into a retirement account. Take advantage of those employer contributions for things like a 401k. Max out while you can, because, as you start a family and such, the expenses do go up. You still want to go ahead and make sure you're setting aside that money when you're doing your budget, so that you are putting retirement first. I'd rather have more in retirement than not enough.
Yeah, you were right about that, but it's going to be awful difficult for people to put aside those desires right now, because the expenses, the large expenses, are more when you're young. If you're buying a house now, it's a whole lot different than if you were buying a house 40 or 50 years ago.
Absolutely. And hey, it's never too early to get with a financial advisor and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. This is the life I want to live. When I'm in retirement, how can you help me get there? And they can certainly map that out for you and help you find ways to save and to contribute to retirement.
Kristina, tell me more about how to take advantage of what you can offer.
Sure. So you can actually find us at intentionalownership.com or at Paradiem, that's PARADIEM.org.
Very good. Thank you so much for the visit today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye-bye. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. Fox News is coming your way next. At the top of the hour, we follow that with news from our WCCS newsroom with Josh Whittison. And in our next hour this morning, the Dingalings are coming to visit with us. Who are the Dingalings? Well, we'll find out together, you and I. It is Indiana in the Morning, always presented by First Commonwealth Bank on WCCS.
Hello, this is John Lefdahl speaking on behalf of the John A. Lefdahl Funeral Home. As director of the John A. Lefdahl Funeral Home, I believe it is important to provide our families with total care. That is why we offer full funeral service, which includes visitation, cremation, pre-planning, monument sales, and pet cremation. During a time of loss with increased stress, it is important to be able to take care of all your funeral needs through one location. It is our trust and devotion to our families that make a difference.